And welcome to the East County Sports Report. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined by Dave Dickens of EastCountySports.com. And Dave, we've had a lot of news involving Christian High athletics over the last couple of weeks, and well, it's all come full circle now. How did you not see this one coming, Dave? Joining us, athletic director, head football coach at Christian High School, Danny Mitchell. Dave, great interview.
Absolutely. You're right. I should have saw this coming in my hindsight, but I think Dave possibly knew, and maybe even Coach Oliver, but they wanted to save it as a surprise, and I think indeed it was, and I'm sure being an alumni also, Coach, I'm sure you have many a great memories at Christian High School, both for as long as you played, and from what I understand, definitely a multi-sport at Christian High, and so you were really it must be a real true homecoming to come back to Christian.
No, you're right. And first of all, thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate you guys having me here. And like I said before we got to start here, East County Sports is still, if you go to my house, my very top bookmark is EastCountySports.com. That was always at my parents' house, and it was wherever I was. So I'm so excited to be here. But I played 3 sports at Christian. I grew up at Christian because my dad has been coaching there for 26 years, going on to 27 years. I was the water boy there, and then I've shared like my heroes growing up were not NFL players or MLB players. They were high school players, because as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, that's who I was around. So I saw, Daniel Jeremiah was one of my favorite players. When he was a junior, he wore number 8. So I decided I want to wear number 8. There's so many little trinkets from that time. You see how players how they react and how they interact, and those were the guys I tried to mimic. So
I think we share a similar point of view, Coach. I did the same thing. On the other side, though, and on the media side, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Being probably 8 to 9 years old, following Bill Dickens down the sideline, trying to keep up with him, running up and down the sidelines, and being on the exact hash mark where he had to be. I never saw somebody that had to be right where the play was, but he was very good at it. And Ramon knows too. He was a perfectionist as far as that was concerned, and statistics in particular. But I know where you're coming from, watching all those players, photocopying pictures of those players, and they were high school players. They were college players. And, everybody talks about all these NFL players now, and it's good to know that you had the same type heroes. And now coming back, though, and talking to Coach Beezer today, I actually asked him, I said, what was one of your favorite moments? And what would you bring up to Danny first and foremost? And he said, I think it had to be versus Parker, the CIF championship, and you leading your team that year. He said that was probably one of his favorite moments.
Yeah, that feels now it feels eons ago. It was about those. Gosh, I'm trying to think. It was 2007. So yeah, about 13 years ago when that happened, and that was definitely a moment that I think kind of launched me into coaching. Obviously, I loved playing all the sports in high school, and I loved playing football. I loved playing basketball. I loved baseball, but that was really a moment for me that I think I really fell in love with the game of football, and I think that's why my life has gone the trajectory it has, because of those moments with Coach Beezer, with Coach Oliver, and that championship game was definitely, like I was explaining, as a little kid, my heroes were those players. So the pinnacle as a little kid going into high school is that moment, and I got to experience that. And I still, as you bring it up, I can still kind of feel the memories and the emotion when you win a championship like that your first time, especially the way I even remember now. Now you bring it up. I remember our junior year we lost to Parker in the championship. So winning it my senior year, I remember when we won it, I ran over, gave Coach Beazer a big hug, Coach Oliver a big hug, and that was definitely a special moment. So,
well, Danny, it's all fine and glory now, reliving the memories, but the pressure is going to be on.
yeah.
With your new duties, double duties, athletic director, head football coach. Look, to have the experience, man, everyone knows that. After you played at Willamette in Oregon as a Division II player, coach there, and then, of course, with Bishops, the high-powered offense that everyone really has come to admire over the last several years before you took a quick stint. You thought you were going to be coaching at Torrey Pines. Then this whirlwind of events, something has just gone crazy here over the last half year. So how did that all shake out? Not just your entire career leading up, Danny, but just over the last several months.
Well, the last, first and foremost, Torrey Pines and specifically Coach Gladnick and his staff are first class in every way. And I would say that's a program. There's no doubt why everyone, not only in San Diego, but California and the nation knows who they are. And what Coach Gladnick brings to that place is beyond anything you can even imagine. So I think, you brought up the head coaching title. In 5 months with Coach Gladnick, I think, and I've gotten to coach at each level of college football. I was fortunate to be at Willamette. I was at Menlo College. I was at USD in 2015 and learned under that staff. I was at San Jose State before I came down to Bishop. So I've gotten to do it at each level. And I'll tell you, Coach Gladnick is right at the top of that list of the head coaches I've ever worked under. And so leaving that not just that team, but that staff was a really tough decision just because of the people they are. And you're in a really good chance and a great opportunity when you're head coach. And this is how great of a man Coach Gladnick is. When he walked up to me and said, Danny, that's an opportunity. That's your home. You should go take it. And for him to say that in you just mentioned it, this crazy time where I didn't get a chance to coach them in a game, but I had a chance to instill something. And the class act that he is, and the staff all wish me well. And I know some of you guys saw it on Twitter that all these players had wished me well. I mean, I don't have words to describe how much that meant. And it was as tough as it was leaving. That to me was a great sign that, it would have been worse if they were happy if I was leaving. And that to me is such a humbling and a great testament to hopefully what I got to do there and what I'm hoping to bring over to Christian. So it went from Bishops to Torrey Pines, and now I'm back in my alma mater, and I couldn't answer how it would have gone if it wasn't this crazy year. But I think everything. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I think this is like you said, how it started. I think this is a great fit, and I think I'm excited for the next challenge and journey here.
Dave, now that you've sampled this entire situation, we've been through this with Coach Beazer, Coach Oliver, and now getting together with Danny. I just want to know your opinion of the series of events that's kind of led up to this. Maybe you could share a little insight because you're really in tune with all of these guys.
Well, I mean, I think that both Coach Oliver and Coach Beazer were just I personally, after talking with them, I don't think that they are finished coaching per se. I think that I would say they were looking to do something different and for the interim and kind of give themselves a break, go back to the drawing board, I guess, if you will, and just kind of relax. But I don't get a straight answer when I say, "Are you done? Are you done
okay.
coaching?"
All right.
I never.
That's what I was getting at. But Go ahead. You had more questions for Danny.
and yeah, I never get a for sure on that. So I think they honestly are just looking for the best opportunity that is to come, and I think that they will continue to be a tandem, as they have been, whether it be in business or coaching. I think that they're going to be together for the long haul, since they already have, for so many years. What I was going to ask, Danny, is now you come back here. Your team has played quite a few of our Grossmont Conference teams.
Mhm.
Been down here quite a few times. In particular, first one that comes to mind for football is Grossmont High School. You guys have been there quite a few times, even out to Lakeside a few times.
Yeah. I didn't know if I don't know if Christian has played Grossmont in a regular season game, but Bishops has. We definitely did.
Yeah, that's what I was getting. No, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Coach. I didn't specify.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
And,
saying Bishops has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played the Grossmont Conference quite a few
yeah,
times when you were
yeah.
over at Bishops.
Yeah.
Um,
And just talk about it, Danny. I mean, we could dilly
yeah,
dally around it, but just with Tyler Buckner as your guy that had a huge hand in helping groom to what he is now, wherever his playing days lie over the next few months and years, as we know. But just that whole situation, and with Joel too. I mean, that's what makes
yeah,
this whole situation so incredible. Your relationship with Joel Allen. You mentioned to me what he was going to be up to, but him leaving Bishops, you
yeah,
leaving there, and now we all end up here. Wow.
yeah. It's been it has been a definitely a life changing year for not only myself, but my best friend. Joel is my best friend. I know he's in something that's great for him and his family, and we had so much fun together. I would not be. And you mentioned the AD job earlier that I get to hold. I would not be prepared for this if I didn't get a chance to be under Joel Allen, who I believe is one of the top, and not only San Diego, probably the country. And just the way he interacts with people, the way I mean, my office was literally 3 steps away from him. I spent every single hour with him, and he is someone that I not only, like I told you earlier, I was on the phone with him earlier today. He's someone I talk to every single day, and someone that I believe when I take a role as a coach or an AD, I always try to be a reflection of those that I've gotten to learn under. And I think that's why I've been successful in coaching, because I've gotten to learn under really great coaches. And I know I'm going to be successful in this athletic director position because I think I've learned under some of the best. And so I've held titles before, and when I was coaching professionally overseas as a director for those teams, but getting to work under a person like Joel really prepares you for anything, in my opinion, because he's first class in every single way, and everyone knows he went to Christian High as well. I was his water boy actually when he was playing. So I was in middle school when he was playing. I was a sixth grader when he was playing, and so that's how that relationship even started. Because again, I told you idolized player. I wore number 8 because Daniel Jeremiah wore number 8. Well, as a young middle school kid, you see kids now when they're putting on all the wristbands or anything they're wearing. Well, Joel Allen taped his wrist when he played. So guess what I did when I started playing? I taped my wrist, right? So there's so many things that are inspiring about that person. And yeah, I think all these people that you have mentioned are such a big impact on my life, and I think that is going to be only leading to the success I'll have at Christian.
And it's funny, Danny. Another thing that Bees was talking about today is he said how much of you just mentioned leadership, and that was one of the main traits that he said he could appreciate from you, especially as a player playing for him, is the leadership and the ability to make everybody around you better just with your leadership qualities.
Well, I really appreciate that. And something I wanted to mention too is, that getting the blessing from Coach Beezer and Coach Oliver to be in this position meant the world to me. And those guys are like I told you, they were my coaches. They're a big reason why I coach, and why I've gotten to do this for my whole life. I always joke, I haven't worked a day in my life. I've coached my whole life. I've never done anything else other than coaching and being in athletics, and specifically football. And it is because of them. So I've already bugged them to make sure they're at our first home game, and they set the precedent, and they are the ones that laid the foundation of what Christian High has become and will become. And so I am so appreciative of them, and you get to work with them every single day. And there's a reason why they're so successful, and it's their approach. And I think I learned leadership because of the coaches I got to learn under. And you said it. That's what football's about. How do you make your other players better? And you mentioned Ramon. You had mentioned Tyler Buckner earlier. That's the greatest thing about Tyler. I think everyone talks about him as he's this great quarterback, which he is, obviously. But a great quarterback isn't successful without the other people around him. And at Bishops, we didn't have too many people around him, just by sheer numbers. But wow, what we got to do. I mean, we led the entire nation in offense, and that is such a testament to the person that Tyler is. So that was a great run, and I think we have, Tyler Buckner is a great football player because of the person he is, and I think there are great people at Christian, and I think we could do something special. So
yeah, Dave, there's big changes, right, at Christian High. But I have a feeling that things are going to kind of look the same around there, not only organizationally, but kind of on the field too, with Coach Allen, Danny's offense, and the way the offense is as Christian. It's kind of like a whole seamless transition in a way. I think maybe that's why they felt so comfortable at Christian hiring Danny. We know he won't have to worry too much about the baseball program, Dave, is like he said.
You read my mind. My next question, Danny, was now you're gonna be looking over Dad's shoulder.
Boss of your dad, yeah, boss of your dad.
And
say it, Dave.
I bet if you ask him, he'll tell you I'm not. So
yeah, no, he would say you are. That's right.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. He's always done a great job. I got to play in that program, and we were very successful. And obviously that baseball program has continued to be successful. And you said you had mentioned what makes me one of the traits I focus on being is trying to be a great leader. And that's because my dad and really you've met my mom too before. She's the backbone of it all. She's the power hidden. And so, I've been fortunate to have a wonderful upbringing with them. And then my wife is actually a Christian High alum too. And so I think, that's the other reason I think I can be successful, because I have one of the most supportive people in my life that I get to spend every day with. So I'm really excited to get rolling. And like you said, I think the baseball program is going to be just fine. My little brother is coaching with them as well, and they've always done a great job. And I think when someone's done a great job is when you hear from players. That to me is what that means the most. Whether we win a bunch of games or lose a bunch, it doesn't matter. Every team wants to win on a Friday night. Every team wants to win on a baseball field, but it's how do you treat those players, and how's that relationship last after your 4 years?
And Dave,
I'll tell you, your mom, Coach, I gotta say, I attest that she is such a big part of the program. If there was somebody out there that there's not so many that are so prepared statistically and score wise, she is on top of it, and that's something rare that you don't see in every program. But she's on top of it. I mean, I can get there in the fifth inning and making my rounds through the county and what do you got? And she's got it all laid out. This is what you need, right? Yeah. And you need this box and you need it all compiled right now. Here it is, you know, and that's how on top of it she is. And I mean, I guess it's so many years together, and your dad and your mom both great collaborators as a coaching staff in itself.
Well, I appreciate hearing that. I always joke that I chose my parents right, so it's been great. So
Yeah, and Dave, for all the changes that Danny's going to oversee over there, it wasn't like he was I don't want to say a hand-picked successor, and I'm just speculating here. I said earlier in the week that I would think that a school like Christian could enjoy a nationwide search for someone to head up their football team or their athletic department. And based on some of their hires, I think they've gone and reached for talented people. So I'm not saying that Danny isn't deserving of the job. He's just handpicked, and he's Christian High. You see that shirt he's wearing right there, Dave? That was already in his closet, I bet.
yeah, that's so funny you said that. You're absolutely right, actually. So yeah, no, I am. I do think I joke that I feel like I have a little bit of advantage just because I went there and was a part of the community. But again, like you said, Ramon, that there are changes in every school you go to, every place you go to. There's always going to be a change every single year, and I hope I can just bring something positive to that campus that's already has so much great things about it. Not just the athletic program, but the academic portion, the character building that place has the ability to instill. There are so many great things other than just the sports and athletics, and that's just a small piece. And when we get on the field with our 350 to 450 students that we have there, we're going to do our best to play at the highest level that we possibly can. So,
Dave, I just want to mention, because you see, Danny, he proudly was telling me before the show. Of course, I recognized him having the Swedish flag back there. And one of the last kind of feature stories that your dad did before he started, before he had to stop writing for the website, was Danny working overseas in international football. And I just think it's kind of poignant because really it was just that last summer, really, and just touched base with you and covered that. And you mentioned all the schools that you've been at so far, Danny. You're only in your early 30s, but and you did mention heading up organizations over there. But just want to tell you about that, Dave. Maybe Danny will tell us about a little bit too. Maybe if he remembers those last interactions. Someone who really had probably talked to Bill many times over as a kid, all the way up to near his last months with us.
No, you're absolutely right. I would see Bill Dickens to me was a big time celebrity. Because I saw his name in the paper all the time. I saw him on the side. Like Dave, what you were saying about him being on the hash mark, I totally remember as a water boy seeing him right there, because I'm the one also running the ball in too, and he's right there on the hash. So you're right, and I absolutely remember that interview when he reached out. That was when myself and the defensive coordinator at Santana, Patrick Kelly, who was also a Christian High alum, who was a great player at Christian. He was an all-state player. He was actually my defensive coordinator out in Germany that year when we won the national championship. And Bill had reached out to us when we returned, and we got to share our story because Christian High had been going to the championship that same year. So in Germany, the season was a little different timeline than it is here. So we landed, and Christian High was about to go into playoffs, and Bill ran into Patrick and I because we were going out to practice and watching Christian prepare, and it was a great time getting to sit down and talk with him about just our experience overseas and taking a team that was the year before was 3-9 and took them to their first ever undefeated season and won a national championship, and just talking with your dad about that and talking about culture and talking about how we saw that on the field. I remember even sitting with him at Christian High on the practice field when he talked with us. So that in itself is just a surreal moment right now as I get to be back at Christian and hopefully get to do something special like I got to do in Germany. And then I got to do this 2 years ago out in Sweden as well. And so your dad was a huge and not only on myself, but all of East County and really all of San Diego. So
Yeah, Dave, Danny jokes. He's not really a joke. We got to kind of keep our space now in the media nowadays. Before COVID, I'm talking about how we cover football games. It's not like it was. Bill would like kind of he'd push. Your dad would kind of like nudge the head coach because he had to be right there on the line of scrimmage, even when the ball is in between the 40s.
Yeah,
you're definitely right. And I don't know why this comes to mind first. Out of everybody we've been talking about, but I remember actually seeing him do a nudge, and I couldn't believe that he did it to that particular coach. It was Coach Dave Jordan at Grossmont College. I go, uh-oh, did you just nudge Dave Jordan? I wouldn't do that.
Well, they had a special relationship.
But in which they did. But me personally being a kid, and I was actually a ball boy that year for Grossmont College, and I kind of looked up at Dave Jordan. I go, uh-oh, that's a serious individual right there. And he did. He kind of gave a stare, and he goes, oh, it's Bill. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me get out of your way. Let me get out of your way, Bill. I'll step aside for you. I'll call the plays from back here. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke between the two of them. But I was just looking in there, still stunned, going, wait, that's wow, that's Dave Jordan, and you're talking to him like that. But what I was going to get to next, we're talking about the athletics and such, but how about with all the new social distancing and I mean all the rule changing that we've seen, not only in athletics but at the school and the way that we learn academically at the school. And fortunately, you have a smaller amount of students that attend Christian High, so there's a little bit more room for them to be spaced out, which is very fortunate, I believe. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that kind of, you have your work cut out for you there too, because it's something that we haven't seen as an athletic director or even a coach in the past.
Right. This is a question I think the whole county is going through. Really, the whole state is asking how do we do this safely and within guidelines and making sure students are safe. That what has been nice is the state has laid out some guidelines for us. CIF has laid out some guidelines, and so we are taking approaches just as a school to make sure our students are safe. Number one. And like you said, we do have a smaller number of students on campus, but we still face the same challenges.
And we're back on campus at Christian High, right?
We are,
yes.
Yeah.
We are back on campus, and like you said, Dave, we are still social distancing on campus and doing and still following all those guidelines. And we aren't on the field yet. We aren't there yet, and we're putting together that plan. And part of that reason was to make sure I'm now on board to make those decisions and make sure we're doing this the right way and safely, and making sure, because again, this is all about making sure our students are safe, and it is absolutely an intention to get them back to being on the field as quickly as possible, because in my opinion, one of the greatest things about being in high school is exactly what we're sitting here, why we're even talking, is getting to play high school sports. And so that is an absolute target goal, and we're going to try to do that as quickly as possible.
There was a little bit of news today, Dave, and Danny, you might have saw this too, and maybe you can even correct me. I'm not sure I have the district right. It was a South Bay. I don't know if it was Sweetwater or if it was another, but a parent petition to get athletes back to playing high school sports as soon as possible. Now, a petition is a petition. It's nothing official, but just the fact that the South Bay is interested in trying to expedite that, an area that in our county, certainly we can say, has been hardest hit by the pandemic. But when you see just the other day, Dave, how you could put 21,000 football fans in a stadium, yet in a baseball stadium just across the river, they can't go in there. So we're dealing with some real crazy, issues with the pandemic and what we can do. And at least we had those, being able to keep those restrictions lifted for another couple of weeks for these businesses. But Danny, what did you see today on that petition? Any talk among athletic directors? Did that come up on your radar?
Today was actually my first day on campus, so I actually didn't have a chance to see that at all. I was mostly focused on just trying to get an email at campus and kind of acclimate myself. And you know, it was our first day. My first day, we have chapel on campus too. I got to go to that, so I was trying to meet as many faces as possible and get acclimated in the athletic department. But just off of what you said, Ramon, you know, I think you're right. This is a very unique time. This is a very difficult time for. I understand the frustrations from not being able to be on a field, but I also I see why we're not on the field. So I think that's the battle that athletic directors are going through right now, and administrators are going through right now. And you know, again, my focus, and I think we all feel the same way, is to make sure our students are safe, but also in a position to where they are back to a sense of normalcy. And and how can we do that as quickly as possible? And Ramon, you said it. You know, there's going to be arguments either way on this, and it's tough on a Saturday morning when you turn on the TV and you see football games, and you know, on Monday night we watch a football game, but at the same time, again, this is all about the kids. If the students have an opportunity and we can do this safely and get ourselves back on the field as quickly as possible, that's my goal. That is absolutely my goal. So,
Dave, you've been outspoken about it, and I kind of hinted about it, saying, hey, you know, look at all these schools. Look at Utah's halfway through their football season, and you've certainly been a bit opinionated. But right now, Dave, I really think that even though it looks like we're trying to ramp it up a little bit, and so is society, I think we're kind of in a race against that, towards that mid-December practice date. I mean, we're in it right now for that. I mean, that's what we're, you know, it'd be cool to do it earlier, but everything's kind of set. It's going to be hard enough to get on the field to practice in mid-December from where we are right now. But I think it's a realistic goal.
I think a good model, and I was thinking about it when you guys were discussing it. I mean, we could take the NFL. You were saying about safety and such. Look at the injuries that were piled up just this last week. Just
They're not going to cancel preseason next year.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. But I mean, that's a good model. I mean, I mean, these are professionals, but they're human, just like our student athletes, and they're supposed to be in tip-top shape. But at the same time, they didn't get that practice time. They didn't get that camp. And I mean, I hate to be a bringer of bad news, but we might be seeing a little bit more of it in the next 2 weeks, until we've really been conditioned and gotten through maybe 4 or 5 games. That's just my hypothesis based on what we've seen so far. I mean, just take San Francisco and Denver for example. I mean, big name play. I mean, just I mean, half of their talent walking off the field before they even get 2 quarters of football played. And I think that if we rush even at this level or the JC level, that's that possibility. I'm sure that's in your hindsight and many other athletic directors across the county. It's not just the pandemic itself, but preventing those injuries and being able to get that amount of time, the proper amount of time, to get them stretched out, to get them acclimated to a regular schedule of practice and putting the pads on and not just doing walkthroughs. Because I think that's what we're seeing now professionally is they're getting hurt, and they're getting hurt quickly, and they're not just scrapes and bruises. I mean, there's some pretty bad, I mean, a lot of torn ACLs that could have been prevented with just a couple of more games. Agreed?
Dave, I think you're on the right path there as far as making sure that we get students out there as quickly as possible if we do end up getting the chance to play because of that injury prevention. I think that's the whole reason why you have a preseason, right? The preseason is a chance to condition your body, have your chance. Why we have summer lifting, why you have summer fall camp. In basketball, you don't just say we're going to play right now. No, you start early on and finding ways to condition that body. So you're right. We are going to be racing for that December 14th a date. And like you said, I think that's where a big argument is going on right now of just how can we do that? How can we get our students to to get in that position. To you hit it the nail on the head, to be safe, and it's not only just right now in the pandemic, but more so if and when we get a chance to play. How do we make sure they are ready to go? How, instead of just, hey, let's kick it off. And you're right, football is a contact sport in itself, and the more you play a contact sport, the more opportunity, or in collision sports and anything, just like lacrosse, anything that has collision, that there is opportunity for that, and that it does take a toll on your body. So you do need to get your bodies ready. And again, you guys you're hitting the nail on the head, that we just have to find the way to get it rolling and do it the safe way. And hopefully it's just a crazy year right now. So.
Right. We'll see if it was an outlier, right, with all those week 2 injuries, because, you think about the way they shape preseason. In the past, they've said, oh, we'll cut it down for 3 games, maybe 2. Maybe that makes sense because here's all the guys getting injured in the second week of the season. But Dave, you were saying you're worried about the conditioning, and I'd almost say on the high school level, it's almost, look, all this crazy news ties together in a way. It's almost, there's a little bit of socioeconomics in there too, because you look at San Diego Unified, they're really, really struggling just to get anything going. I mean, how are they going to get involved in athletics at all right now when they're having such delays in their just school system? So there's that, and there's also mentioned today. You mentioned the college games. 3 more games were canceled today because of COVID concerns. Now, that doesn't necessarily relate to the high school campuses, but I think that's what we're all worried about, is when massive numbers of humans come together and possibly get virus, and everybody says, oh, don't be worried about these young people. They're strong. They go see grandma. Okay, they go see other people. That's how that's how this is all happening. You guys don't need to be told this, but just in the way of trying to manage the campuses and the students alike, and then still play athletics. I mean, I guess you could, remote learn and then still go to football practice at some of these other schools. Like we said, Christian is a smaller district, so they're already at school, but those other districts, they're behind right now, Dave, no doubt about it. And that's why we're racing to that date. So, and I didn't know you got on campus, Danny, already. I mean, those stories about you taking the job are a week old.
Yeah. Well, this is, you're hitting the nail on the head about the job itself. And just like every single district is going through, right now, part of this is how do we get ourselves back to where we get to talk about athletics? And again, it's just, this is a very difficult time, in my opinion, for not only people in athletics, but to me, it's the students, and I really do. It's, you can't say enough words that would say, hey, you know what, I feel so bad for the seniors right now, but that's not enough. You cannot, there's nothing that anyone can say, anyone can do to give back the experience of your senior year in a sport that you may love, or in the school that you may love. So just finding a way to give them a lot. I shared my story of when I was growing up. That was something I looked forward to. And we started the show with me talking about an experience that I got to experience my senior year. And so those are the things that are really hitting home. The things that are really hitting home because of this pandemic are those moments that a senior may be in a senior class that they may need, or maybe in they're in a drama and they've been waiting for this part that they've been training for. And same in sports, those moments that we look back on. I mean, we're 13 years later, and I'm telling you about a moment that sticks out so brightly in my mind. Those are the things that are so heartbreaking that we're missing. And you're right. It's hard to look around the county and see other schools that are struggling to get back. And at the same time, I understand we're in a really tough situation. And if this is a focus about, that's why I said that the toughest part of this job right now is how do we get the kids back into to some sense of normalcy, because guess what? Those seniors are now the very next year, some of them are going to be right into full-time work or going off to college and prepping for something else in life. And so we want them to value that last year that they get to be in school. And obviously every student at any level, this is a tough year for them.
And I know it seems like a small thing, and I brought it up in past shows. I mean, and I'm sure you've driven by it several times as well, being in the East County. Coach going by Elkhorn Valley High School, who finally got a makeover and has a beautiful campus. I mean, they were one of the last in the Grossmont district to receive a beautification like that, and
right.
From the outside, and then talking to their head football coach, and then the way he kind of describes the inside. I mean, if you're up in a helicopter or a plane and you're just hovering over all these empty stadiums, it kind of puts things into perspective. All the Friday night lights that are on, but there's nobody on the field.
Right.
And how close some of those stadiums are. I mean, just in the East County alone, they're so close. If you're flying, even a commercial airliner coming in, you see so many stadiums. Friday night lights are on, but nobody's down there. It's almost too surreal.
Yeah, and that is it's the harsh reality right now, and that's exactly why I believe everyone, even the schools that are closed off right now, they're just trying to find the way to make sure we can get back as safe as possible, so we don't ever have to do this again. And this would be, I hope this should never happen again in our lifetime, and I really hope it doesn't. And this is, and like I said, I feel for every student, not only just athlete, but every student that is going through this, that is either doing school online or not, maybe doesn't have the capability of doing that. And school was your chance to it just brings something else to your life.
The social,
really, yeah. And there's no doubt about that. And I think we have to recognize that.
And I think that the last thing I was going to touch on that, and I've had many shows where I was taking a different stance on it, but now that the more I examine it, I think it's come time too that I know it's a good stage for some professionals, but at this level, let's remove the politics, and let's just everybody should just come together and create the best plan possible for academics and athletics, and let's get back to what we do best.
Well, then let's spend our last few minutes talking about that. We can't let Danny come on this show without looking ahead. Certainly, even though he's only been on campus for a day, he knows a little bit about what's going on with this football team. And Danny, if you had to pick one quarterback in this entire county that you wanted to take a shot with for a year that kind of reminds you of Tyler Buckner, I think you got one, huh?
Gabe Cruz.
I actually got to meet Gabe the first time today. What an outstanding person. And we've only got to talk a couple times, but I've gotten the chance to watch him from afar. And, like you said, I was very fortunate to coach some great quarterbacks the last couple of years at Bishop's with not only Tyler, but Jeffrey Jackson, who's now at USD with his brother. And I just think getting a chance to coach Gabe, to me, it's just going to be a great opportunity to, I think, watching Gabe play last year, and the thing that sticks out to me on film about him is how tough he is. And that to me is something that a team rallies around. And again, I haven't got a chance to know him yet, but just by watching him on film, it's something that every coach wants to see from the person that's going to be running your offense. And really everyone knows that the quarterback's kind of the head of the team, but we have some great players at senior. That's at Christian, and especially in the senior class. Watching them all as juniors, I know there was some injuries at the end of the year, but seeing the film of what Christian High has always been, we have a bunch of guys that play really hard, and And I think we just want to give them a chance to get back on the field. And again, to piggyback off what you were talking about, the quarterback I get to work with this year, who's coming back, when teams would recruit, would come by during my time at Bishop's, and every coach would ask, hey, what other quarterbacks in the county stick out to you? And his name would always be one of the first. And I never knew him, but I'd heard so many great things about him, and then seeing him. But, I think we have some really, I think the quarterback position is all about how you highlight the other 10 guys on offense. And I think we've got some guys. There's a couple young men that are seniors that I think are going to really stand out at the receiver position, at the running back position, and I can't wait to watch them. And I think you'll get their names real quick. And I've already kind of watched some of them play before, but and then on the defensive side, we have a lot of returners. I think we have a very prominent player with Andrew Young. Eddie Young, his older brother, is actually one of my best friends. So I've actually watched Andrew grow, and I knew Andrew when he was this big, and now he's a lot bigger. And but he's just another one that falls into place. And when you get to see this team put together, I think, and that's what I'm excited to get to see this team put together and watch these guys dive into something brand new, and to me, take ownership of their role, of their season. Man, I can't wait to watch them. And I can't really, and like I said, it's my first day on campus, so I haven't even had a chance to meet the full team yet. But I do know that we have a great group of seniors, a great group of juniors, a heavy group of sophomores, and then a new freshman class. And to me, it's all about building a great program. And hey, I know I'm very fortunate to get a chance to work with some really, really good players. And I know we had talked about the quarterback. I'm really excited to watch him not just play, but lead the team, because that's what this position's about.
Dave, it's going to be disappointing not to get a chance to see Buckner with the Highlanders, but consider spending your weekends at Valley Stadium with Gabe Krug and Justice McComb if you really want to see some great offense this season.
That's funny that you mentioned that. I was going to mention that to Coach real quick, too. The whole reason that I decided to have Justice on, it might have had a little to do with being an Eagle alumni, but also just watching, I had stumbled upon his Twitter account and saw a lot of his work and the work that he was putting in, that he put up quite a few videos, and just showing himself just working every day, working in the weight room, working on his throws. And I really that caught my eye, and I said, you know what, Ramon, I'm going to reach out to this kid, because he is one of our East County guys. I think he is going to be a top 5 in the county for sure. And I'll base that on the work ethic I saw alone of what he's put together. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he might have even worked with a couple of your kids. I mean, you guys are right down the street, and I think even some Steel Canyon kids were working with him as well. So it's good to see that, even though your opponents during the season, that they found a spot that they can continue to grow and avoid those injuries and stay stretched out, work out, make themselves stronger and faster for the season to come. Because I'm definitely optimistic that we're going to get started on that. I think that December 12th date to start practice in San Diego County.
Yeah, and so am I. And you're right. I just hope we get a chance to get rolling. And when you mention all these great players and students around the county, I think there's a special group that's waiting to hit the field. And so I think I'm very excited. You're right. Justice stands out as a I've known Justice actually since he was in as a 8th grader, I believe, and Justice is first class in every single way, and I would absolutely agree with that. And I think that is getting to see him on the field, getting to see Gabe on the field, our team take the field, and watch what Grossmont's going to put out, what Santana's going to put out, El Cap, every single team, West Hills in our East County. I think we've got we've got a group of teams here that are ready to get going. We're just ready, waiting for that green light of safety, and I think we're going to have a special season. So,
Coach, are you ready for the 1 a.m. calls from East County Sports?
Yeah, of course I am. I don't know if my wife will be, but I feel ready. So.
Well, we might get them on just like this, Dave. This might be easier moving forward. But, with these interviews that you see, where you stay away from. I think they're so disingenuous, really, because everyone's kind of screened, and so they're like, "Oh, we've been screened, but now we're interviewing you from 20 feet away." But Oh well, I digress. Danny Mitchell, thank you so much. Congratulations. This is the future of Christian High athletics, and this is awesome. It's a no-brainer. Can I say that? It's a no-brainer.
That's politically correct. We're going to go with yes.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on the show, and you always know that you're welcome right there on the sideline. If you want to be standing right at the hash to make sure you get the right stats, you let me know too, and let's just make sure we don't get you on the field. So unless you're going to score a touchdown for us. So
absolutely,
yeah, we've had some exciting moments. Exciting moments with this program, not only over the last couple of years, but obviously throughout the history of not only East County sports, but the Daily California. I mean, Christian High. We were kidding about it the other day, Danny, about how those Saturday Daily Californians would have, because the Friday night games were on Friday, and then the Sunday paper would come out and they'd have Christian High get the headline all to themselves on Sunday because they were the only game on Saturday night. We'll see moving forward where these games get played. I imagine Athletic Director Mitchell's got some work cut out for him in scheduling all these sports at different venues when we get to that point. But good luck with that, Danny. Wow, that's going to be – I don't envy you.
Well, thank you, Ramon. I've got a great team to work with there that I think we're going to be able to figure it out. We just need the green light. So
that's what I was going to just say. You got a great cast over there. And I'll even requote Beezer that he didn't leave the cupboard bare.
Yeah.
And I think that the way you're there now and the way you're going to tweak things and make that thing work, just like I really don't think we're going to see as many changes as people think. I think if they are, they're going to be for the better. But otherwise, I think Christian's just going to keep on the winning tradition, especially is going to continue under your leadership. And you still have some great, including your dad. You got and the head coach of the girls basketball and boys basketball, Tim Brown and Vicky Carrington. I mean, those are phenomenal leaders in themselves.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think I've got a great surrounding cast, and that is absolutely our goal, to keep that winning tradition going. But again, it's our focus is to make sure they're having as much fun as possible too. And in football right now, we're up at the Division II level, so we're gonna try to take a shot. Now, I was fortunate to play in that championship game, so I think I know what it's going to take in order to play with some of those schools, and we're going to give our best shot in football to get there. And just like every sport, we're going to do our best to be as competitive as possible and keep that what makes Christian so fun. And we're going to hopefully keep that success going for a long time.
Yeah, and we followed the rise of this athletic program even before Danny was born, and right now he's the man to lead us into that elite division. We're already there in some of the sports, but you know what I mean. This whole program going to continue to rise as it has throughout the last generations at Christian High School. Danny Mitchell, head coach, athletic director at Christian High. Dave Dickens, a great get tonight. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Thank
you, Danny.
Thank you so much. I'll see you all on the sideline.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
Good night, everybody.